Good morning. Hope you are well. My name is Ulrich Saltensegts. I'm your host today for this second webinar, specifically to launch the second open call for the SecurIT project. SecurIT is an European project basically launched by a number of partners that has the intention to support innovative security solutions in Europe, developed by at least two small, medium-sized enterprises, mainly also from Europe. In today's session, we're going to explain you again a little bit on what the background is of this activity, and hopefully also share with you some ideas and experiences on what you should be able to do in order to make your proposal a successful proposal, and also making sure that you can check with all of the different developments that are needed in to make sure that you really can have the best proposal to be entered and to be finally also eligible to win and to participate, executing your second open call participation, and to develop a new type of solution that hopefully will also become a successful project or a successful product and service, and finally also hit it into the market and become one of the leading security solutions in the future. I'm streaming here from out of Leuven in Belgium, and together here with me today are a couple of partners, project partners that have participated in the first open call and that have been found prepared to also share with you some of their thoughts and experiences in the development of their activities, but also in the development of their application, and share with you also some ideas on what the project actually could look like, and maybe it can inspire you also to reach out to them and to maybe find some useful technologies and tools towards the future, but maybe also to learn how you better be prepared for the second open call that was launched in earlier in January. The second open call finalizes in March, to be more specific, on the 14th of March at 5 p.m. And that is rather important, obviously, because that is the time that you should be able to submit, in this case, an interesting proposal specifically related to security innovations that could either be a demonstrator or a proof of concept pilot action that basically includes some form of innovation within the domain of security. And we'll talk a little bit more about it in later on. LSEC, as one of the partner organizations, is what we call ourselves a digital cybersecurity catalyst. So we are slightly more focused towards cybersecurity, but we do bring, of course, also together other expertises and experiences by organizing events, by organizing these types of public offerings, open calls, thanks also to the support, of course, the financial support of the European Commission. We do market analysis, and we help also with the innovation of some of our member companies. Within our membership, we have about 850 plus companies providing services, solutions, technologies, and our help really is there to seek new types of technologies, such as, for instance, artificial intelligence, IoT, quantum, but many others more related to process and methodologies, and help our companies in discovering new types of components or technologies that they can use in the development of their products or service. For today's session, I will talk a little bit more about what the open call really is about and how it fits within, let's say, the SecurIT project in itself. So I'll give you some key figures from the first open call to give you a bit of a perspective, and also talk more about the requirements and the selection process and criteria, how to do the application in itself, and then showing some examples from some of the projects that participate in the open call one, namely CyberTrapper and CyberSec2SME, both of here present. I will be talking a little bit later on. I'm introducing also to you something that we launched within the SecurIT project last Friday, which is the SecurIT Security Solutions Mapping. It's a catalog, an online catalog that you can find through the CecurIT-project .eu website, and where you can find a number of companies which are present in Europe and which are mainly SMEs also working on security technologies, which are looking potentially for other partners, definitely are looking for customers. And so what you can do is basically register your own solution and basically get a perspective of
trial version
and basically get a perspective of what your offering is.
Trial version.
In order for others to be able to find it and to participate and to reach out to you and maybe to share with you some ideas, and that could actually be resulting in a new version. Somewhere I'm getting some very strange noises, but let us find that out later
on. Version.
Okay. Anyways, let's
trial version.
See where we can turn this off. Spamming.
Trial version. Trial version. Trial version. Trial version.
There is a very strange noise. Ah, okay.
Trial version.
That is strange. It's coming from George's second account. So we're going to see if we can do something about that in another way. Let me check this out here. Yeah, we found it. And thank you very much to let me know where it was coming from, because it was a bit of a challenge. I thought it was from one of the other browsers I had here open, but it was indeed coming from one of the participants on the line. No worries about that. So I will just continue. Thank you very much for pointing it out in this case. Anyways, so returning to this one here. So the SecurIT project is really about trying to get some support towards European small, medium-sized companies in not only developing new innovative solutions, but also finding partners in Europe that basically can help them in growing or developing their product maybe faster or getting it faster to market. It's also, of course, trying to discover what potential partnerships could be available in order to do this. So we have a model of what we then call cascade funding. And the second open call that we just recently launched is here to basically facilitate this. So in today's session, we're going to have CyberTrapper participating, and they have been participating in the first open call, also CyberSec2SME. So these two companies have participated next to many others being winners, and we have had many different cybersecurity solutions that have found their way through the platform. SecurIT as a project is made up of a number of international partners from different countries in Europe. Most of them are similar types of organizations like ourselves, namely a non-profit association, which is there basically as a membership basis for the support of the market and the development of security and cybersecurity in Europe. So cybersecurity clusters, IT clusters, if you like, clusters as organizations that really are there to match basically organizations, end users, as well as providers together. From the first open call, we had three main domains, which are also still present in the second one, related to infrastructure protection, protection of public spaces, and disaster resilience as main domains. We had over 240 SMEs participating and basically selected 21 projects out of the 111 submitted applications. So that was quite a success, and we hope in the second open call even to exceed those numbers, of course. We had applications coming in from many different countries throughout Europe, with the majority coming in this case from France. And that was not too surprisingly, since we have 3 partners of the project participating, basically in this case in France. But we hope to be able to reach out to other countries in Europe, which haven't been yet participating in the first open call. And we definitely hope to see many of you participating and submitting your proposals before the deadline on the 14th of March. There's 2 types of instruments that you can select from. One is the called the prototyping instrument, which is basically receiving up to 74,000 euros. So to be split amongst at least 2 SME partners, or a demonstrator, which will receive up to 88,000 euros, and to basically also not only build the technology, but showcase that the technology works within a demonstrative environment, and which we usually are looking forward to see as an end user environment, but it can be other types of environments as well, obviously. So what we are looking for is a number of consortia, in this case, that will, during 12 months, develop their technologies or project in any case, and then by the end of the project, showcase what their project will be looking like. The maximum that one SME within the consortium can receive is 60,000 euros, but it has to be consisting of at least 2 SMEs from within the EU member states or its overseas countries and territories, which are also being supported in this case by Horizon 20, Horizon Europe. At least one of the SMEs should be a technology or IT solution provider. And what we would be looking for in the second open call, which is a slightly bit different from the first open call, is to prefer also showing that they have experience in the specific project domain. Not that you're not welcome to expand into other domains, but it will be likely more advantageous to you if you have a partner which is knowledgeable about a specific domain that you are planning to develop in. So whether it being IoT or cybersecurity, or whether it will be deploying physical security solutions inside of a specific, let's say, large city with law enforcement capabilities or something of a kind. So if you have experience there, then that's definitely something that we'll be looking for slightly more closely. An ideal project is a project that addresses a specific challenge in some of the following areas, like cybersecurity or digital applications applying to security solutions. So we are definitely also there to support digital transformations. So digital applications in the domain of security, physical security, then would definitely also be welcomed. And we would be looking for those projects which are developing, or maybe if the solution has already been developed, an implementation of this technology. So those of you familiar with what's then called the technology readiness levels, it means that we would be looking that you would be able to show in the application that you are currently reaching at least technology readiness level 5 or higher. But at the end of the support program, so within the 12 months, you should be able to reach at least the 6 or 7 for the minimum, and for the prototyping instruments, and TRL 8 or 9 for the demonstrators. And that's also what we ask you to show that you will be able to do in the development of the project, and you have to be able to show that in the implementation part of what we are calling for within the application form itself. And so we ask you also to have a clear focus on civil applications, and definitely not to include anything related to military. If you would like to use the technology for military purposes, that's completely up to you, but don't put it into the application form. We are specifically looking for these tests to be happening in operational environments. So that means that your solution should be relatively close to market in order to be able to test it or to demonstrate it, of course. And what we are suggesting you to do, advising you to do actually, is definitely also to look for an environment already in the 12 months period of the build out, where you will be able to showcase that prototype or a demonstrator in this case. So do find yourself an end user environment where you should be able to deploy. What does this mean? Sensitive infrastructure protection, disaster resilience, public space protections. Well, there's many different things related to it. For instance, in terms of sensitive infrastructure protection, that's quite broad, but you can also refer to it as something which has been defined by law. So there are, in many member states, the definition of what it means, critical infrastructure protection. We took it a bit further and we included sensitive infrastructure protection in order for you maybe also to apply to domains where things like NIS or even NIS2 so would be applicable for. So that means sensitive infrastructure, those types of environments where there's essential services that are happening. But it's also completely up to you if you are able to prove us or demonstrate to us, or at least indicate to us why a specific infrastructure would be in need of sensitive protection. For instance, in cities or in environments which are like databases related to national information, which might not therefore be regarded by the government as sensitive or as critical. But if you have sufficient support that you can identify this as sensitive, then you're obviously welcome to do that too. So some targeted end users are listed here, like airports, hospital infrastructure, energy suppliers. And when it comes to disaster resilience, secondary suggestion, do, for instance, take a look at some of the solutions that have participated in the first open call, and then we selected. Some of them are specifically there in order to try using AI technologies, for instance, in order to proactively detect potential disasters from happening. So, for instance, landslides or things which are related to nature, where some technologies could actually help in predicting that such a landslide might happen. That could actually prevent a disaster from happening as well. So therefore, disaster resilience. So take a look into what those could be as some ideas or as some suggestions. Could also be prior to a crisis, during a crisis, or even after. So doing a post-event analysis. A tip maybe in 2024 there will be Olympics in France, and so maybe it could be an idea for you to try to showcase your demonstrator project towards the cities or environments where the Olympics will be taking place in France. Or public spaces protection for major events, and again hereby the idea for the Olympics. So do take into consideration something that you could be developing for this domain. How does it work? Well, after you submitted your application, so 5 p.m. on the 14th of March, which is through the online platform. Once you've done this, we will be investigating firstly whether all of the proposals are eligible. So we'll do an eligibility check, and we'll do a pre-scoring. The pre-scoring will happen on the basis of some things that you've been filling in, some quantitative elements. So, for instance, we will be giving some pre-scoring, and those who have scored highest in the pre-scoring will then be going through the next round, where there will be an external series of experts evaluating on the three main aspects of the application form itself: excellence, impact, and implementation. So we'll also be looking for some transversal criteria, as we call it. Not that all of them will be highly applicable, like for instance in cybersecurity, there might be a less impact on low carbon economy, but at least try to give your best ideas on how you see that happening. So for instance, using lesser of CPU space or capacity in this case could for instance help, or in indicating less of energy. Your application needs to be in English. You need to be able to answer all the questions in the application form. We'll receive only one proposal per SME and consortium. But if you are, for instance, in multiple consortia, that could very well be the case. If you're submitting more than one proposal, only the last proposal that has been submitted will be evaluated. We are specifically searching out for conflicts of interest, so don't participate in the open call if you have links to any of the partners, for instance, that will be partially also that are organizing the call, but also partially participating in the evaluation afterwards as part of the jury, for instance. So do indicate that you don't have any conflict of interest. Also indicate that the company is healthy when it comes to finance. The bad thing that could happen is that the moment that we are doing the evaluation on the eligibility, we found that we can find out that you are, for instance, a company in difficulties, which might not be the case in that case. So then we will ask you to provide us with the necessary evidence to show that you're not in trouble. But we provided here a link that you can do a simulation on the European Commission website. And maybe what you can do is provide us the results of this simulation in the questionnaire in this case. And also do make sure that you have access to, of course, all of the IPRs necessary. So if you build yourself on an application and a piece of technology coming from somebody else, then do ensure that we are having the latest and greatest in terms of insight in where those IPRs are being matched. So some additional automatic scoring that will be addressed. And these are just tips for you when you're developing the proposal. So if you can indicate how and that you are applying security by design principles and in the application, then you'll get some additional points. So it will be in your best interest to indicate that you will be doing that and how you will be doing this. Of course, we'll ask the question on how you plan to do that. There's different methods and capabilities on showcasing, but it is, of course, important that you at least consider this. We'll also give some support further to those companies that can show that they are not serial fund requesters. But if you have a bit of experience in asking for funds, that's definitely also, in this case, a plus. But we'll be, of course, giving you some support more if you haven't participated in any previous projects as such, so that will definitely help. If you have already some partnership experience, that is definitely also very useful, because we do see that there is a benefit in terms of reaching out faster and being more productive as partners if you already have a bit of experience, obviously. But that is not absolutely necessary. So for avoidance of doubt, it will help you in the pre-scoring in any case, that you can showcase how your history has been there. So the three criteria, namely excellence, impact, and implementation, are supposed to be filled in on these different topics. So do take some time in preparing this. Talk a bit about this with the team, with the partners on all of the different aspects, and then start to writing in the application form. So we'll be doing the scoring on the three individual elements, and you will be getting a scoring for this. The highest scoring proposals, of course, in this case, will be then selected to come and visit us during the jury day. Last year we did that physically. This year we'll do this online to prevent people from having to travel from all over the place. And we'll see the selected projects then during the kickoff meeting, which will be happening in Vilnius in July. So it's an easy next step. So go to securit2.fundingbox.com, or you simply go to the security-project.eu website, and you can click on the links and then start the application. So if there's any questions, then please don't hesitate to ask either one of the partners to do that. But for now, what I wanted to do is to basically invite some of the Open Call 1 participants, and then come back to you later on in some tips that we can share for you in the whole process. So we have today invited 2 of the Open Call 1 participants and then specifically the companies, of course. And firstly, I welcome the project and the partners from the project CyberTrapper. So good morning, Jelena and Vladan, and thanks for joining in. I hope you're doing well.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Good morning, Elrich. It's a pleasure to be with you today.
Thank you so much, and a pleasure having you, of course. And thanks for your willingness to do this. So, of course, this is a bit of a promotional activity for CyberTrapper as a project, in any case, but definitely also being part of the SecurIT project, we are definitely always interested in finding a bit of your best practices when you were doing the application, but also in the way that you conceived the project and how you met as partners throughout, let's say, the application process, and maybe some of your findings and challenges in the application itself. So let me make sure that you can share your screen, and if you're ready, then please introduce yourselves and also the CyberTrapper project, and then we'll be very much interested in finding out what CyberTrapper is all about.
Great. Thanks a lot, Ulrich. But by the way, maybe a short introduction. What we have prepared to share today is a general idea about the project, just to give them ideas about what we consider interesting and why probably that was one of the major reasons you have chosen us. And then we will focus on the part regarding the SecurIT project in general and our experience on that one. So first, introduction. Regarding our experience, we are, I would say, more than 20 years in cybersecurity business, first personally and then as our own SME owners on that one. So just for you to get the feeling about that one, we were involved some in international projects where you have really dedicated so-called SLAs. For example, these were Olympics when you have SLA of 300 milliseconds for delivering any result across the world to all journalists around the world. So from the perspective of cybersecurity, you have to think differently. You have to be proactive, and you cannot wait for something to happen and then to react on that one. So we use the same idea and same principle here for the project CyberTrapper. Idea is to minimize the effort for the final customer, in the sense that he does not have to have any kind of security knowledge, while to be proactive and preventing even unknown zero-day attacks. That was the major idea on that one. Maybe it makes sense to start explanation with the challenges that are nowadays happening. So first one is that you have so many different variations of attacks that it's almost impossible nowadays to base your security based on the signatures, meaning you are looking for so-called known indicators like signatures, like indicators of attack. Why is that? Because it's continuously changing. So this graph is showing you just changes regarding the malware, meaning the malware signatures, but it is the same thing in all other aspects of the signature-based recognition. That one. So idea of having blacklists in the sense of what is bad and then blocking only the bad does not work anymore. So this is the first challenge that we wanted to address. The second challenge is that number of the smart devices, the IoT devices available on the internet is extremely increasing. You will find different numbers available on the web regarding the existing total number of the IoT devices. It doesn't matter anyway. Everyone agrees that it is rising exponentially. And one of the challenges is that these are usually small, simple devices and also not that expensive devices that cannot afford dedicated security controls for prevention of the attack. Also, usually they cannot, their long lifetime period is quite short one. So continuous patching and updates for this kind of device is also a big challenge. And for that reasons, because of these two challenges, it's very hard to make sure that you have properly patched and from the availability perspective, safe devices that you are using inside your network. That was the second one. And third one, as I already have mentioned, these are 0 days. So you have extremely number of 0 days attacks rising, as each of these specific devices has to be maintained. So the total number of 0 days is rising at that one. And also what is the problem is, even when there is a 0 day, usually they can evaluate a lot in the sense that you cannot define a single signature that will be recognizing these kind of attacks. So, for example, I prefer using real life examples. If you remember Log4j attack that was happening in December 21, if I remember properly, it was interesting because it was a 0-day, and all the services that were using Log4j library inside were vulnerable to that one. But what was interesting is that on daily basis, there were approximately something like 10 to 50 different kind of attack vectors that were used for attacking the Log4j. In total, during the year period, I think we had something like, if I properly well, something like 10, 15,000 of different attack vectors being used for that one. They were hiding some special characters and so on in different ways. So idea again of a blacklist that will be detecting each of them makes no sense. You cannot update these signatures that often, and also you cannot do this kind of protection. On top of it, if you are using IoT device where you don't have IPS in front of it and you're not using corporate network, it is almost impossible. So what was idea? Our idea was to create a device named CyberTrapper that will be capable of first preventing the attacks against you by real-time updates. And the second thing is the deceiving the attacker that he thinks he has found something vulnerable, but in practice it's not. So imagine that you are placing a device that will have a fake deceiving service on it. Let's say a service that is known that is vulnerable to Log4j or some other attack vectors. And then in real time, you're collecting information who is first coming and performing the interaction with your specific device. As it is a deceiving one, definitely he does not have a good, attentions on that one. The second thing is you are analyzing also how do they do the attack, meaning you are pulling so-called indicators of attack for each of these attempts. And using this one, you will be in line with the latest type of attacks. The third part is creating so-called crowd immunity. So what is that one? Meaning that you are sharing this information in near real time with all other customers using the same device. So you are building crowd immunity in the sense that if anyone as a part of the group has been attacked, everyone becomes immune to this specific attack vector that has been seen. So this is the major concept. A small device that you can plug in anywhere, a deceiving service inside that device, and sharing information in near real time with all the group members, so you can prevent any attack being performed against anyone in the group. But by the way, as I'm explaining at the end of the session, feel free to raise any questions if you're interested in technical details, how it works and so on. So what are our major differentiations comparing to other existing projects? So the first one is that we deceit attackers and prevent automatically, meaning that there is no real asset under the risk or real service under the risk. Second one is that we can learn about specific IoT or IT devices, services regarding their specific unknown vulnerabilities, meaning if you are monitoring that in real time and you see specific attack vectors against specific IT devices, then you know that these attack vectors are being used only against that specific device. While you don't see these attackers and attacks against other devices, definitely it is not the target attack. The second one is detecting in real time connections with threat host, meaning in real time we are processing all this data, and in real time then we can analyze, and we can even, besides that one, we can perform advanced level correlation and advanced level attacks recognition. Third one is so-called continuous incremental learning. When we say continuous incremental learning, in the initial phase of the project, it is being based on the pure mathematics, meaning adding some additional information and doing the correlation. But in the second phase of the project, what we have planned is so-called artificial intelligence incremental learning. I will explain that a little bit as a concept later, meaning being able to continuously to learn new things. So you don't have to do the signatures update. You don't have to do the retraining. And also one of the standard European requirements based on the GDPR is that also we can do the anonymization or pseudonymization of private data in a real time. That's also quite important things nowadays. So these are the major concepts, and here you can see that the native screenshot of our interface, web interface, where we are monitoring all the ongoing attacks happening. So I have mentioned you regarding the artificial intelligence part that we have done the initial science research in that area. By the way, this is not the part of the POC project for SecurIT. It is in the second phase because it requires many pre-steps to be done. But anyway, idea with this AI research is, by the way, this science journal Springer name is providing this science paper. So if you're interested, you can find us at the link specified below. Idea is that using artificial intelligence and using the training from traps, meaning we call it cyber clones, you are capable to train AI algorithm to detect even unknown zero-day attacks. And how it works? It works by using so-called incremental learning, meaning as long as you have new information coming regarding the indicators of attack, the algorithm should be capable of increasing the knowledge and being able then, based on that one, to recognize even similar kind of attacks on that one. One of the major challenges in this kind of continuous incremental learning is so-called challenge of drastic forgetting. That one. So in this science paper, we were explaining what are the basic three methods that can be used to apply and can be used for the avoiding the forgetting at high level. And by the way, these are some numbers from the research paper where we were testing specific third-party information regarding the attacks. And you can see here the percentages, meaning the precision rate that we have achieved during the lab testing against, again, what I have mentioned, third-party data, meaning it's not our data that we have optimized for that purpose, but someone else's data. And we have applied, as you can see, based on the numbers, we were achieving different ranges of precision, and the top one was 99.5% precision rate for some specific AI algorithms that were being used on that one. Anyway, I think it was good enough regarding the technical solution and what is our approach. And maybe it makes sense to jump on the specific experience regarding the SecurIT project on that one. Well, I would ask Jelena, she was leading the administration part, meaning the communication with SecurIT team and so on, to jump here and,
Yes,
and share with you.
Thank you.
Your experience.
Let me share what happened really. From the moment we decided to send the application, first phase was web form. It was out something like 20 questions that we needed to answer about our solution and future project, in this case prototype. Actually, questions were really detailed, and but all of them were really meaningful. It made us think more about our solution and our future solution and the whole project. It turned out to be very useful in the end, because it made us think of many more challenges that will happen, social impact that needs to be really in detail depict about the project. So steps were really clear, and these questions took us like 2 or 3 weeks actually to write quite well explanations. But as I said, it really helped us also. It wasn't just for the purpose of the application. Team that consisted of now our mentor, but the whole team behind this the SecurIT cluster was really helpful. All the time, whenever we asked anything, we got the prompt question, whether it was the process of application or some financial questions, some documentation, whatever we needed, it was really resolved as quick as possible. Then, after we received the information that we are invited to jury day, as I said, I think it took like a month, but it was really as it was stated in the project plan. So the dates are really what is said. Jury day was, as I understood Ulrich well, it will be online this time, but it was in our case held in Paris. So many logistics issues arrived, but I will skip that. It was it was really a challenge to fulfill that, but if it is online this time, it is much better. But anyhow, you have to take care of the pitch deck, which is you will have 10 minutes, about 10 minutes to present the solution, and jury consisted of like 10 to 15 people who were really interested in all the ideas and asked really technical questions that show them distinguish some projects from others. But this means that in this case, you will need to include both tech lead and project manager in this interview. Actually, it is pitch, but it looked like in the end like interview, because we received a lot of technical questions. So my advice here is to consult a professional about pitch deck. It should be like 10 slides, but it is very, very important that you that they are concise and the story is interesting. So consulting a professional about pitching would be my advice for sure. I hope it will be easier now because it is online, but I mean, it is maybe you said already that the first meeting will be offline, but it doesn't matter. It is fine to see each other at least once alive, but maybe this jury day is easier to be now online. Anyway, during the whole, as I said, during the whole application process, the team was very helpful. But as soon as the project started in September, we are having a mentor, and from that point, I can say that the mentor is really devoted to our project, and the organization, it looks like we are having every month a meeting. And what is most important, we receive help from the experience from the whole cluster, and we receive help in regards of their connections, which we didn't expect, but it can be really meaningful for our project in the end. So this is what I can say about our experience. Maybe we can discuss later at the end of the session with the second team. But I really have to say that everything goes quite well, and the whole process is really, really well organized. That could be a conclusion for everything.
Great. Let me then continue on the next slide, just to remind myself. Yeah, I was also free to write some comments from my more security and technology oriented perspective. So definitely we have good mentors. So, and what I like is that we are not talking about pure project management in the sense of fixed milestones and just delivering timelines and so on. It was more entrepreneurship oriented, which I appreciate a lot on that one. And also Ulrich was helping us a lot with his experience and connection, definitely. And there was one thing that I was laughing at the very beginning of this session, Ulrich, by the way, regarding potential improvements. As you can see, what I wrote: to create and share a predefined list of preferred potential partners. This is exactly what you have done in the meantime, and you have shared with us regarding the map with capability of registering different companies and their products on that one. This is exactly what is a great thing, because then we can establish our own network and then exchanging the knowledge and experience, maybe doing the cooperation as well. That one, and it is extremely important for Europe nowadays, because for your information, we also have some experience in Asia, how it works. And I can tell you that Asian companies are much more organized, and they do cooperate much more than what is the situation in Europe. So this is definitely the good thing. What we would also recommend is, after you also gather the experience, to share these most common problems and relevant remediations if there are any problems, of course, that will help other companies when they apply to be proactive and to resolve these kind of problems before it really happens on that one. So we prepared some slides regarding the project itself, regarding the major milestone and so on, but to be honest, I don't think it's something very interesting for your visitors today. In general, we would like to thank you for a great support, and definitely we would like also to help any third project company that think that we can help on that one, do not hesitate to contact us. It will be our pleasure.
Superb, Vladan and Jelena. Thank you very much for this, and also for the warm support and interactions that you gave. So very much appreciated, and great to hear. Of course, it's definitely great to hear that not only you're developing a great piece of technology product, but also project, and that you're also finding slightly bit more than just the financial means to be able to do that. So looking forward in continuing that work together with you. I have a couple of questions, but let's maybe pick them up for a bit later on, and maybe now switch over to Han and George from CyberSec2SME. And I see that that George is there. Han, George, are you there?
Ulrich, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Good morning. Hi, George.
Good. Very good. Hi, George. Thank you for inviting us, Ulrich. You want us to start?
Yeah, and I hear it's Han now, so that's quite okay.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
So go ahead, Tom, and please guide us through CyberSec2SME.
Very good. Very good. Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to this. My name is Han Veldwijk, one of the founders, and I'm the CEO actually of Lupa Safe. We are the CyberSec2SME team, as you can see on the screen. We are partnering with BEA, and I'll talk you to a bunch of items that the team asked us to highlight. Also, if you have any questions afterwards, or you need our insight or support about the application process, don't hesitate to reach out. We're happy to help other teams with our experience. So, what is CyberSec2SME? Really quick agenda: the project, objectives, partnership, and a bunch of other things, but you can all read. So let's move on there. So, what is the concept of the project? Now, in our case, we focus on senior users, and they need to be informed about cybersecurity risks, right? And if you look in critical industries, but actually across organizations everywhere, it's board members who are worried about their reputation and the continuity of their business, right? They hear about ransomware attacks, they hear about zero-day attacks, like we just heard about, right? And they just want to know, like, are we secure? They want to know their cyber risk exposure. And right now, the data is not there, or it is siloed, right? It's hidden somewhere with the IT partner, HR department. And then solutions are actually quite complex or expensive, right? And also many tools, like we did lots of pen tests on like governments. It has limited time, right? And also the scope is limited. So what we're doing here at Lupa Safe with BEA in the CyberSec2SME context is to offer standardized insights in the information security risks. So what does it mean? It means we are testing, like we did as ethical hackers, the entire chain from the outside of the organization to the inside. So we daily test the breach data, the attack services like the websites and the infrastructure, the people, how they respond to phishing, how they respond to cyber awareness, technology like the website, like the workstations, for example, vulnerabilities, those kind of things, right? And then you build up to the internal side of the organization, the network, the service systems. And on top of this, we report about the process maturity, right? So classic IT security, it's about people, IT, and processes. And then once we have that data, we can monthly inform board members what's going on. And they get a good grasp of the cybersecurity risks that they are running. And then they can, for example, once a year, ask their IT auditor or accountant to take our data and to do an independent non-assurance report. And we call this the 3 C's, right? They want comfort, that they're doing the right thing. They want a compliance, that they're operating in line with the expectations. And they want cover, right? Because any business can be breached. And here's some good demonstration that they did the maximum possible. All right, so back to CyberSec2SME. The plan, objectives, and activities, right? So here's the timeline. We kicked off in end of September, and we basically onboarded BEA. BEA is our partner. They're here. They're operating out of Romania. They work with the Port of Galati. And the objective here is BEA is one of the partners that is a supplier to the Port of Galati. And the Port of Galati is a harbor in eastern Romania, and they have many contractors. And these days, not only the port has to be secure, but they also want to see, are our subcontractors secure? And BEA is acting as a subcontractor. And we in the CyberSec2SME, we are testing BEA for their cybersecurity across all the elements that I just mentioned. So we've been deploying the technology with BEA on their tech stacks, on their organization, on their employees. And then we also did lots of communications. This is something to take care in your plan, right? Have a website ready, work on a press release, blog about the project, promote with the partners. And then from month 2, we started doing monthly executive reporting. So every month, the execs receive a report of the findings that the platform had at the executive level. And then we're challenging the system. So the task of BEA is actually to introduce errors. For example, vulnerable software, bugs on the website, disable certain security policies on laptops and servers. And this is the challenge for us because we have to detect these kind of human errors, right, as part of the risk assessment. And then the biggest risks should end up in the monthly report, right, as a finding for board members to act on. And we're also working with BEA and the Port of Galati to understand the critical infrastructure requirements. This is something we're working on right now. So what kind of metrics, what kind of KPIs are critical infrastructures like the port focusing on? And we're also working there with the National Competent Authority to help us in that area. Now, and also we're preparing for our webinar. So actually, I would like to invite all of you to join cybersec2sme.com. You can sign up for the webinar, and BEA and us will present what we're doing there, the progress, and I'm sure you can learn a few things to make your proposal stand out and get a lot of points there. And then basically, we're starting to adjust our findings, improving our detection rates. And then in February, which is starting next week, we'll work on the mid-year report. So we'll give the SecurIT governance board insight in our progress on our KPIs, where we stand, and challenges that we faced, right? Like every project, there's always some challenges to resolve. But this kind of timeline gives you a good insight on what we're doing, right? Now, I mentioned partnership. This is the team, Lupa Safe and the BEA team. And basically, we're acting as a software supplier, and BEA is acting as senior user and also as technology experts. I'll get there too in a second when we talk about IoT and infrastructure. We have a letter of intent with the Port of Galati in Eastern Romania, and I think it's good to have these kind of documents ready for your project as well to demonstrate that there is interest and other parties have reviewed the proposal. Now, one of the questions we get is like, what's missing in the market, right? What's the challenge that you're focusing on? And basically this, our board members want to know what are the risks that are facing our organization. They don't want to log into portals. They don't want 40-page reports. They don't want to have a meeting with an IT manager, right? They're busy. So we give it to them. And as part of the project, we've been focusing on, and developing like this kind of reporting. And the first one went live last month. We're now tweaking for the February release. And as you can see here is a screenshot. This covers the key risks, right? As you know, in security, you can focus on a million things, right? But how do you track this down to the most basic indicators that someone also can understand? The other thing is to the right. What's also missing in the market is a report, like a yearly report that sums up all the findings, progress, and risks. And this is something we're now delivering with accountants in 8 countries. Around 20 different accountants firms are working with us to deliver this to their clients, right? So it's an independent report delivered by the accountant on information security risks. It's basically repackaging the Lupa Safe data and then adding the accountancy angle. Then we have the question like, how do you tackle issues in the infrastructure security domain? Now, I mentioned we're tackling the entire chain, right, from outside to inside. And with BEA, we're now also focusing on IoT devices. And as we see, they're more and more prevalent in critical industries, but also in SMEs, large and wide. And so we're focusing on like, how can we improve the Lupa Safe network scanners, for example, to detect IoT devices, to probe IoT devices. And we've also developed an agent that can deploy on IoT devices. And it's looking at all the software stack that's being actually on the IoT device. And actually here we're working with lots of Raspberry Pis and other different kind of like open platforms that are used for IoT devices to see like, hey, how can we detect vulnerable software that's used in an IoT stack, for example. But happy to talk about this a bit more. But they have experts when it comes to IoT, and so they can help us give insight in what kind of technology is being used in the port and what data can be extracted and how we can incorporate this in our risk reporting structure. Now, how's the project evolving? We have a very good working relationship, I would say, with SecurIT and also with Bea as a partner. I think we spent lots of time together on thinking of the plan and agreeing on the plan up front. And if you have clarity at the beginning, I think in Holland we say, well prepared is half the work done, right? And I think if you can do one thing, it's prepare really well. I don't know why my PowerPoint is sliding. I should have prepared that part really well, that's for sure. One thing that surprised me is the depth of knowledge of the SecurIT team. Like you guys, you know, we're startups, we meet many investors, people across the globe. I was impressed by the level of knowledge that was demonstrated in the application process. I got a bunch of questions, I remember in Paris, and I wondered, where did they find this? How did they find this information? Because I knew it was well hidden on one of our support pages that are hard to find by themselves, right? So I was impressed by the level of knowledge. So when you go there, make sure you got all your ducks in a row, you know exactly what you're talking about. What we're seeing in our project, now we're running for like 4 or 5 months, is engagement with the port is a bit harder than expected. But then thanks to SecurIT, we are engaging with other ports to actually deploy the software there as well. So it's very helpful to have that network next to all the expertise that they bring in. We also see that this helped us in the Dutch market, because having an EU stamp on your project is a good thing. And it's like due diligence done by someone else. So for example, we're now speaking to 40 governments in Holland that want to roll out the project in their SME environments, for example. And so I can say this has been really helping us from that perspective. It's basically the last page, but yeah, I hope this gave you a bit of impression of what we're doing in the CyberSec2SME project with Bea and SecurIT. And I would also like to ask George, have I been missing anything or any points you would like to add? I don't think so, Ulrich. I know he's still there, but yeah, I hope that was
version.
Yeah, so I think there's a bit of an issue with George's phone or microphone, because there's a strange noise popping up again that I had.
File version.
All right, so I'm going to ask George again to mute. Yeah, because otherwise this strange sound is coming back continuously. But I did get in the chat an all good reaction to you, Han. So thank you very much. Okay, so I guess what I wanted to do with both of you, as in CyberSec2SME as a project, and you, Han, being the representative here, and with Elena and Vladan, is to discuss a bit more on how you also came about in developing this project, in developing this application. How, I mean, probably you had this bright idea that's just behind me here, a big light bulb that popped up. But how did you engage yourself in working also with the partners that you found, and how difficult was it in any case to come up with a joint idea, the joint plan on developing something? So it's definitely something that many of the applicants are still currently working on. We already see now in the Open Call too, some of them already have quite developed ideas. Others are still searching for partners and developing. So let's maybe ask you first, Hans, since you were the last one to participate here. How did you guys start in thinking about this as a solution, as a concept? You addressed, of course, what type of challenges that you found, but how CyberSec2SME came about.
So we have been focusing on the SME markets in the last 3 years. And I was speaking to one of our Israeli friends, and Shai, and he said, you should focus on critical industries, because if it works in critical industries, it's going to work for SMEs anyway, right? It was more a strategy, and then also it's a good way to test the product in a different segment. And so they actually pointed us to the SecurIT program and said, hey, you should apply. And so we came in touch with George via our mutual Israeli friend. And so George and I sat down and said, hey, how shall we skin this cat? How shall we approach it? But it started with the vision that we would like to test our technology in a more critical industry environment. And this was a really good entry point, Ulrich. And of course, the 58K doesn't hurt, right, in that sense. But the focus is more I realize you're not only thinking about a different market, you also have to present your project to very capable audience, right, who's really testing you at many different levels. And that was a value I didn't perceive before I applied, right? So that was actually a good outcome to think very clearly about what you're solving, for who, is it really the problem, right? So yeah, it opened up lots of more ways of thinking, actually.
How did it happen in your case, Vladan and Jelena?
Yes, I will split that in few different phases on that one. Regarding the idea itself, it's not a general problem. Why is that? Because what we are doing on regular basis is thinking what will be the challenges in the following years. So we start with that perspective. We think from the shoes of the hacker, what I would do if I'm the bad guy, and then based on that one, we can come with the potential solutions. But once we have the idea, it's always a challenge to evaluate if it is really a good idea or not. Does it make sense or not? And our logic was following one. We already have some building blocks, but should we invest time and money or not? This is a big, big challenge, because there is opportunity cost, meaning that we will spend less time on something else, and we are not sure if it is a proper idea. So to be honest, fully with you, we used you as a perfect validator. Does it make sense? That kind of spin-off as a project, does it make sense? And how it looks from the third party, agency, or in general third party on that one. Once you have approved that one, great. It means that it makes sense, that someone else agrees with us, and also on top of it, we will get a free of charge partnership in the sense of the advising, consulting, and so on, because also we don't have experience with the small medium business on that one. These are the major points.
Got you. Okay, well, thanks both for that. So yeah, I think it's both of them valid approaches, without a doubt. In the application itself, I mean, Jelena already pointed out, and Han too, both in terms of the application as well as in the jury, being well prepared. The questions that we were asking made you reflect a little bit further on, and made you thinking a bit harder about just what the concept is all about. So I think it's you gave there definitely the idea that the application form is well worth in inspecting. How did you actually go about in trying to answer the different questions? Because you from the experience that we have also ourselves, there's of course many different ways that you can interpret the different questions. The challenge is sometimes also don't only reflect from the questions from your own standpoint, but also consider how the reviewer and the reader will take a look at this. So how did you go about in preparing for the different questions? Was it one of you that basically took the role in saying, okay, I'll tackle this question, you do the other one? Or did you sit down together and discuss all of them jointly, and then basically again split up the work? First to you, Vladan and Jelena.
Okay, really, I have to say, really good question. So the first thing general about the question is great questions, because they enforce you to think about some other aspects you did not think about. So this is the first value on that one. The second one is, it was interesting that each of us, as we are coming from different, segments of this industry, was understanding it totally differently. So we had to have few thorough discussions with all of us involved, both with the Avant tools, data tech, and the AST as well, to first to agree what the question means, really, what is really behind the question, and then to agree on the answers, to make sure that we covered all potential aspects of that question, if you understand me properly on that one, just to make sure that we are clear, enough, and there is a full understanding of in the information we are providing. It is a challenge, to be honest. It is a challenge. It took us some time. I think we had at least 3 or 4 sessions for discussing these answers, but it was really worthwhile.
Yeah, and you already addressed the same the question also in relation to the partnership, but one thing that I was still puzzled in your case about is how did the 3 partners in your case meet up? Did you know each other already in advance, or were you really looking to find each other through the development of this application?
No, we know each other. We were cooperating in the past. The company, for example, from Greece was already engaged for some products. They are expertise in the development, so specific development. We have the expertise in security, in the sense, when I say security is wide range, but myself regarding specific research and specific custom implementations, and data tech has a great experience with hardware operations and so on. So that were the building blocks. We don't know anything about the hardware, while, for example, that can have a lot of can bring a lot of value and benefits. And regarding the Avant tools, definitely they could make everything we wanted to be made on that one. So that was the joint benefit.
Gotcha. Okay. And what about you, Han, in terms of the application itself? How did you prepare for the different sometimes maybe challenging questions?
Yes, well, the questions were not easy, but it indicates the level of intelligence, right, of the one asking. We had a bunch of knockout sessions with the team, with the BEA team, with 2 people from the critical industry space, senior people, and we basically had sessions like test us, right? What do you want to know? And these were very good because they helped us put ourselves in the position of the one who's asking the questions, right, from critical industries. So basically we had, you could call this almost like we were acting, like what kind of questions would be asked, how would we respond, what would be items left to clarify. So these trials for us were a good exercise. And I can recommend anyone to basically test yourself with an audience that has just seen your deck, right, like the SecurIT team, and then have them draft questions. And always be kind and gentle, because if people didn't ask like you think like stupid questions, it's probably because you didn't present yourself well enough.
Yeah. Be kind enough. Yeah. Be polite.
Of course.
Good point. I have to say.
Yes. We try to do that as well from our side. So that's very, very sensible point as well. Okay. So in the idea of such a project, I mean, now both of you are developing your projects. You're halfway there. How would you further in the future see, in this case, for instance, developments of the technologies, of the results, and how would they be, according to you, implemented into the European market, and where would you still see further support from SecurIT in this case?
Who should start?
Doesn't
matter. Okay.
Yeah, so
to be fully honest, as I shared with you, we don't have experience with small medium business, definitely, and also in general regarding the sales. Addressing that specific market, also we don't have experience, so we would really appreciate your help on that part, at least in the passive mode, in the sense of providing some basic suggestions, the best practice. It does not have to involve active involvement from your side, but at least sharing some core information would help us a lot. The second thing is that your map of the potential partners and the products, and definitely then we can merge our efforts together with some other members of the SecurIT project, and then we address the market together.
Or maybe even with CyberSec2SME. Han, what about you?
For us, the first stage has been to test our proposition in the critical industries, right? And we're getting really good feedback. Now, we would love to scale this product in critical industries in Europe. And we already, thanks to this program, got in touch with the major consultancy in Europe that's protecting harbors, a bunch of them in Southern Europe. And so we see a way for European companies to more collaborate. And also, if you look at like data protection, GDPR, NIS2, these things in the future, right? And I think what the EU could offer is a sort of collaboration platform to have a level playing field. Because when we engage with the other industries, there's always lots of competition from the US, and competition is good, right? But in the US, it's a bit easier with like data protection controls and those kind of things. So it would be nice to collaborate within the EU and actually get our technology across, right? Because if it's good, it should be used more.
Okay, so let us definitely also help you in making that happen to the both of you, and I'm sure that we will be able, and at least we'll try also to get your projects and also the results of it as being maybe in that case products and services getting better into the market. That's definitely also what we aim to do within the project. And in the after the second open call, there's another nearly a year for us to help you out in doing so. So we'll be happy to support you there with all the different partners, without a doubt. Okay, I don't have any further questions for you, so I'm going to ask the participants if they might have any questions, either to either one of the both of you, or to us when it comes to the SecurIT project and the application itself. I'll just finish up with a couple of tips for the applicants out there. So as you might already have heard, do take some time to prepare a good application. You're of course free to start writing the day before, namely March 13th. But it might be good already to prepare it in advance. Usually we do see that there's a difference between the ones that started already earlier and the ones that have been submitted just the day before. But there's definitely no harm. I mean, if you know what is it you're doing and you have a pretty good understanding of how to approach, no worries at all. And so we'll definitely be looking for those proposals too. Choose the right funding instrument. So it's either the prototyping or the demonstrator. There's not that much difference. So it's basically the level of innovation or the level of maturity in the end of both from the start as well as towards the end. To my feeling, in case of CyberTrapper, and a demonstrator might have been equally useful, but they chose carefully for the prototyping instrument, which is definitely fine. And the reverse could have been set also with CyberSec2SME. So either one is fine, but do think about it in how you would like to deploy it afterwards, and also try to show that. Check the eligibility requirements. Are you sure that you're an SME? Are you sure that you don't have any conflict of interest with other parts of the consortium? So do check these things. If you're not very certain about it, you can always ask, of course, before submitting also the partnership to help you out there. Read the sub-grant agreement template. That's basically the agreement that is what we're going to ask you once you have been selected to undersign. We would advise you to go through it upfront, that you do know what we would be expecting in the end. But to be perfectly honest, there, it's not a requirement, of course, but it helps you also in getting a bit of understanding on how these projects are going to be coming about. Be convincing for evaluators. Check the selection criteria, and why not, like Han and also a team from CyberTrapper was suggesting, check your proposal with somebody else and have it at least double checked before submitting it, before sending it in, because in some cases, yes, we will try to be thorough, because we think that all submissions and all proposals are good when they are entering in. but it's up to us to scrutinize you and to properly do a due diligence on the different submissions that we have received. Also check, of course, the procedures that we have when it comes to payments. Yes, you will be receiving some payments upfront, but the majority is really when you reach a certain level of maturity. So that means that you'll have to be able, of course, to finance during at least some time the activities a bit of yourself, and then of course after some time it will be refunded. But just to make sure that you are capable of doing that, and also to make sure that you can sustain this throughout, of course, a longer period of time. But without a doubt, the final result will also have to be able to help you and making a strong business out of it. And so think about building your consortium, and good partnerships help you in doing the proposal right. You have to be able to rely upon your partners, of course, and you'll easily find it out already during the application process. But the ones that are slightly more aligned, those is typically the ones that we can also find out that will have a better implementation way afterwards as well. And so, yeah, innovation is key, but do address the challenges, the ones that you can identify yourself, the ones that we have pre-identified. So try to document the ones that even we have pre-identified. It's okay if you say, okay, SecurIT has identified this as a challenge, but if you can elaborate a little bit further on this, and also where you really think the challenge in that case is and how to tackle it, that's of interest, and then indicate how you will try to innovate in that specific sense. And then do remember that we're working in a European dimension with a civil focus. So if you can point out within the project that you will be doing that, that definitely would make sense. We have upcoming another matchmaking session. This is the one from 18th of January. So the next one upcoming is on the 8th of February. You can basically go to the SecurIT-project.eu website and register yourself for the matchmaking session. You can, of course, also use the catalog that we just showed earlier on, which is also available through the SecurIT website, or you can reach out to any of the partners. So again, here the catalog, the online catalog, or you can reach out to any of the partners that obviously also have their connections to other partners and other entities. So either one of those you can reach out to and just send us your profile and which type of company you might be looking for, whether it being another solutions company, a partner that could do the system integration, or maybe an end user. All of those, of course, we have access to, and maybe we can help you out with. I'll be participating as well as the rest of the partners in the matchmaking sessions. So you're very welcome to register here and then to reach out to us, to be able to do that. If you cannot find yourself in the catalog of SecurIT, we have other catalogs available as well. This one, for instance, is one that we provide as LSEC. It's been made available through our website. If you go to cybersecurity providers on the homepage, you'll be able to find even more companies, and where you can even segregate through specific types of technologies. So with this, I do thank the two partners for participating, just checking to see if there's any additional questions. I don't see any, but no worries, do reach out to us whenever you see fit. And this session has been recorded and will be broadcasting as soon as likely tomorrow on our website to be able to be found back. And if something wasn't entirely clear, then of course you'll be happy to reach out to us and to ask further questions. But definitely thank you to Jelena, Han, and Vladan for participating this morning in the session and to sharing some of your experiences and thoughts. And definitely also thanks to both of you for the supportive comments and being great partners in any case.
Our pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
With this, I wish all of you a very good afternoon, and looking forward to your applications or to some of the events that we'll be organizing with SecurIT, where hopefully we'll be able to meet also with the partners available here in the next coming months. Bye now.
Have a nice day.
Bye.